Welcome to PA Voter Information Network. This is Larry DeMarco, your host. Mike, tell me about your Springfield candidates.
Absolutely. We have, why don't we go by wards? We'll start with the incumbents first. In the first ward is Ed Kelly. Ed's running for re-election. He's been a commissioner now for about 5 or 6 years. Ed is outstanding. He focuses on communication. That's his forte. He's a lawyer with Fox Rothschild, a transactional lawyer. But Ed is the consummate commissioner. He is out there working hard for his residents. He's accessible. His cell phone number, his email, his home number, all on his website, all on his Facebook page, all on his newsletter. If there's a concern, folks, Ed gets back to them and tries to communicate in as many mediums in today's world as he can. The second is Jeff Rudolph. Jeff Rudolph is going into campaigning for, I believe, his fourth term possibly as commissioner. Jeff has been president of the board for about the past 10 or 12 years. He's the president of Clenzoid Company. Jeff steers the ship in a very complex regulatory environment for the township. As board president, Jeff marshals the coalitions, tries to obtain a consensus among different points of view. Being president's a tough job in terms of doing some things. And Jeff is often the individual where if there is a concern that hasn't been addressed, that comes to Jeff, and Jeff becomes the one responsible for really being the voice piece for all of the commissioners. He is responsive to his constituents. They know him. He's accessible. Very busy, but Jeff always makes time and takes the time out for his constituents. Seventh ward is Dan Lanciano. Probably, if you were to take a picture for me and describe a commissioner, it's Dan. Dan is hyperactive. He is involved. If there is an issue that you have as his constituent, Dan will make it his issue. He will do the best to assist you in every way possible. If he can't assist you, he'll tell you. If what you are requesting is not something that he can do for you, he'll tell you. He is out there, he is responsive, and he is involved in the community heavily. The open seat is our third ward. Suzanne Hoffman is the endorsed candidate for the third ward in Springfield Township, and as a party chair, I am fortunate that Suzanne raised her hand and said she wanted to be involved. She has been involved. She's a lifelong Springfield resident, and I said, "Why do you want to be commissioner?" And she said, "I want to be commissioner for 3 reasons. I want to be commissioners because my parents still live here in the house I grew up in. I want to be commissioner here because I know where I live, I know my neighbors, I want to improve my neighborhood, and I want to be commissioner here because of my children. I want to make sure my children's future is as good as the opportunity I had to grow up here in Springfield as a great town and a great place." She is out every night knocking on doors and taking her message of transparency, a fresh new look. Suzanne is no shirking violet. She will state her opinions. She has forceful opinions, and they're important. And
Transparency, let's talk about that. Mm-hmm. Is that a change, or is that a continuation of past practices?
It is a continuation of past practices. What has changed is the technology and the way people receive their information. I represent a number of school boards, and in my career, and again, some all Republican, some all Democrat, some mixed, and each one of those districts has a different way in which they communicate with their constituents. One used to televise their meetings live and have a call-in section. Another one that I represent still doesn't even record their meetings. It's not a lack of transparency. Everyone, if you have a problem with your school district, Larry, you know where to go.
Well,
They all know where to go.
I wanna-
It's a question of communicating information and how that has changed. And it's tough to expect a commissioner like this. Let's use a guy like Lee Janisak to not only be on Facebook, but now he's got to be on Twitter because Facebook's old school. So now we're going to tweet, and we're going to use Messenger, and then we're going to use Snapchat for some other things. You know, the challenge, I think, with local government has been how information gets communicated, because there are so many mediums that, that you're communicating to people.
Well, is it fair to say that if the technology is available and it can be used by a resource within the township or borough, that modern technology, video, not even necessarily live, but some form of easy access to information with the help of technology is state-of-the-art now and should be expected from townships across the county and the country?
Oh, I would say the answer to that question is yes. I would say, look, I don't care what party it is, whether you're Republican, Democrat, mixed board, there's always a better way to communicate.
So when you say someone maybe gets accused of not being transparent, you mean not deliberately not transparent, you mean not
necessarily
technology.
Caught up with the time. And look, as a lawyer for municipalities, I have come across the you don't tape your meetings, I'm going to tape your meetings. And what happens a lot of times with that? All that leads to is clips and editing and selective things being placed out. I believe that if a town, I think it's a worthwhile, at least discussion point from a legislative standpoint. If a town does video their meetings or broadcast them live, then that document in its entirety should be the official document. And that would prevent other folks from coming in just for partisan purposes and taping one aspect or bringing in demonstration and being able to try and utilize a public forum as a show of support of or against issue A or issue B.
With the shrinking of local news, with the Delaware County Times cutting staff and not having the detailed local municipal coverage that we used to have, because of no other reason than their inability to cover the
49 municipalities.
The 49 municipalities here in Delaware County. There's more of a need for us to figure out what the best practices are in covering township meetings and board meetings.
Yes, Phil Herron does a hell of a job. I think he takes his job. I think he takes his job seriously. So does Kathleen Carey. So does Alex Rose. So does Kevin Tustin. But when you are dealing with that situation in terms of a reporting, there's a fairness.
Shrinking resources, to be specific.
Yes,
is what I'm talking
but I've
about.
always been treated fairly with an opportunity to respond to an issue or an allegation by the press, by the Daily Times. When you shift to that, to individual people with agendas and an ability to clip things and edit things and just show different things, you lose that fairness aspect. That's a downside to this increase in communication.
But I think we're here, and I think that we're going to have to live with that. So that raises a new issue for modern politics.
Yes, challenging.
PA Voter Information Network. It's a game changer.